Friends from the media and CSOs, you are all warmly welcome to today's event. Today's event is a milestone in the annals of CDS Africa and the nation at large, as we seek to officially outdoor CDS Africa and also launch our flagship program, which is in line with SDG 4 and the directive principle of state policy. I humbly call on the board chair, Professor Isaac Abeku-Blankson, to give us an opening remark.
Very important, awareness creation. And awareness about what? About equity, education, equitable education, right? So we are looking at rural versus urban, but our focus mainly, one of the key areas is looking at the disparity that exists within rural education. How many of us grew up in the rural area? There you go. You, anybody else, went to school in the rural area? All right, okay, good. So at least we have two. I personally also went to school. It's not a rural area, but I would say it's a rural area because I walked like almost 5 miles to school every day and back, barefooted. All right, in the rails, in the African sun. So you know what I'm talking about. But the key is that we look at what our school system is here in the urban centers, and the further you go into the rural areas, it becomes very saddening. And so one of the key pillars of this organization is to see what we can do about it as a nation. And as CDS, we want to be the leaders in that area. Let me give you an example. Streetism. The kids running around instead of going to school. Are we thinking about what is going to happen 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 10 years from now? CDS is very interested in that. How do we help these children grow up to become contributing, citizens of our country? Very, very important. All right. So basically today we'll be introducing you to CDS. You understand our organizational structure, how we manage here, all right? But more importantly, you also understand where we've come from, our history, our mission, our vision, our values, and all of that. And then we will single out one of the key things that we do, our flagship program, which is in rural education, all right? We'll also talk about that, and then the research activities that we are planning to do. So the goal is that by the time you leave here tonight, you will be soaked and gain awareness and understanding of what CDS. Later on, we'll discuss how you can partner with us. I'll come and then we will have a discussion about how can we be partners in this agenda, all right?
Good afternoon. My name is Rodi Asumini. I'm the administrator here at CDS Africa, and I'll be taking you through the corporate structure and the general management here. So here at CDS Africa, we have a corporate structure that consists of a 7-member board of directors, which is chaired by Professor Isaac Blankson, who just spoke with you just now. And we have a staff strength of 10 employees. So Professor Isaac Abeku-Blankson, who is the chairman, is the president of American University College of Communication and the Data Inside Africa. Next on our board is Mr. Kwame So Jr. He is the founder and managing director of Energy Synergies Limited, a limited liability company incorporated here in Ghana, and he's also the owner of Villandro Residence, which is a boutique hotel. Next, we have Mr. Bayman Tanokwao Bainam III. He is a highly accomplished and impeccable finance manager with more than 14 years of experience in the finance sector. Next is Dr. Cynthia A. Soti. She is an associate professor of social work at Booth University College in Canada, where she teaches courses in social work with communities and organizations, ethics, human behavior, and international social work, amongst others. Then we have Nana Fredua Oforiata. He has a long-standing career in the media, PR, communication, and in running multiple businesses. He is currently the governing director of Bayman Companies. And we have Dr. Michael Awa. He's currently an associate professor at the Grand Canyon University in Phoenix, Arizona. Dr. Awa has over 25 years of experience in teaching, advising, mentoring, and researching. Lastly, we have Professor Phyllis Graham Dickerson. Professor Phyllis is the Assistant Dean Undergraduate Nursing Programs at Regis University based in Denver, Colorado. Then we have our staff. Firstly, we have Mr. Emmanuel Mensah, who is our Programs Director. We have Dr. Doris Boateng, who is with us today, our Director of Research. Then we have Barbara Kwashiga, who is our Assistant Programs Director, and Hod Anyagba, our Co-Director of Research and Policy Outreach. Our staff consists of Yvonne Apia Kubi, who is our Assistant Programs Officer, Osborne Yao Akolate, who is our Research Assistant, Paul Mensah, who is also a Research Assistant, and myself, Rodia Sumini, the Administrator. Lastly, we have Rashid Adam, who is our IT Officer, and Castro Mensah, who is our Videographer. So this location here in North Legon is our main location at Grace Hill Street, house number 6, Hare Street, North Legon. And as you can see, our Ghana Post GPS is GM0702893. And you can reach us via email at info@cdsafrica.org, or you can give us a call, as most of you have been doing, via 0302-556820. Our working hours are from Monday to Saturday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Thank you.
Every woman, and I'm speaking from experience, after months of carrying a baby, all the discomforts that go into being pregnant, gives birth, stays at home for a while, and then outdoors the baby. And usually when the outdooring is being done, all you see is the woman looking very beautiful and presenting the baby to the world. And I think that is what this afternoon is about. There's been months, maybe years, not so many years, but years of preparation, years of discomforts, and years of birthing CDS Africa. And today we are outdooring CDS Africa to all of you. CDS Africa, our full name is Africa Center for Democracy and Socioeconomic Development. It's a civil society organization which was born out of the need to deepen democracy in Africa. We looked at what was happening across the continent. You wake up one morning and there's a coup in one place because people are either disillusioned by what they consider to be democracy in their countries, or they are fed up with what is being practiced. And so people were taking matters into their own hands to take the power away from the people in whom that has been vested. And we found that we cannot just sit down and turn a blind eye to what was happening, because it happens in other countries and you don't do anything about it, it will happen to you also. So we thought about ways that we can contribute to making democracy become the choice for the people, the thing that people want. But we also recognize that you cannot have democracy and enjoy it if the people don't have development. And so we thought of democracy and socioeconomic development. And these are the thoughts that went into the birthing of CDS Africa. We contacted people that are like us in the way we've thought about it, and you saw our board and our staff. All of us are people that are very committed to deepening democracy and making contributions for development. And so we are here today to tell you about CDS Africa and where we are now. CDS Africa, as I have told you, is an independent think tank. We seek to promote democracy as the vehicle for development in Africa. We know that if people are making inputs into the way they are governed, it is the way to go, and that is how development will be achieved across the continent. And so we also believe in the popular sovereignty, peace and stability that this democracy we are talking about engenders. And we know that this is imperative for sustainable development. Our work here at CDS recognizes democracy as the critical input for development, and we see its advocacy as inherently linked to the pursuit of socioeconomic growth. We generate and deliver ideas for policy reforms through innovative research, training, conferences, and community engagements. As I go on, we'll talk more about some of the things that we have even done prior to today. Our mission is to become the lead advocacy platform for democracy and socioeconomic development in Africa. And in doing this, I must say that we are registered here in Ghana, but also in the US as a think tank. We have partnered with Swalimo, which is an advocacy group based in Eswatini, former Swaziland. What we are seeking to do with them is to forge a path towards achieving a democratic monarchy or even a full democracy for their people. And our approach to research and advocacy is different because we don't just do the research and let it sit down. We do research and we fashion out interventions to address the problems that we uncover. As I go on, I'll talk more about that. So we are not just seeking to promote democracy in Ghana, but also to have it across the African continent. Our values, our core values are equity, equality, equity, and diversity. We believe that all people should have equal rights. People should be as different as they are or as they can be, but we should still have equal rights. We also believe in independence. All people or all nations should be independent and be free to express or embody that independence. We believe in transparency and accountability. As we seek democracy across the continent, we understand that it is through transparency and accountability of governments that people will believe in the democracy and help to practice it. We believe in environmental responsibility, taking care of the environment, making sure that the things that God has gifted us with as an environment, we protect it so that we can also leave a good legacy for future generations. And lastly, we believe in professionalism, integrity, and service. Everything we do here at CDS Africa is guided by this. We make sure that our integrity is solid. It's not something that anybody can question. We provide services with the best of professional touch. So what do? We use empirical, fact-based research data to lead advocacy initiatives to advance democracy and policies that will bring about socioeconomic development. So as I said earlier, when we conduct research, we don't just leave it at that. When you hear about REOI, you will know that it's not just research. So we do research and then we fashion out an intervention. REOI is one of such interventions, and a presentation will be done on it shortly. At the right time, I will also talk about other research that we are doing and how we are fashioning out interventions. So how do we go about what we do? We deliver high-quality research, training, and advocacy actions to prioritize democracy and stimulate, support, or initiate policy reforms to drive socioeconomic development. We are an inclusive, driven, and trusted think tank with research and advocacy networks across Africa. You saw our board members, professors and doctors and all of that. It's because we believe so much in research, and we know that research is the best way to drive advocacy. I will just mention the REOI, but a more thorough presentation will be done on it. So the Rural Education Ownership Initiative is our flagship advocacy initiative designed to promote infrastructure investment and learning outcomes for rural school pupils in line with SDG 4, targets 4.1 and 4.2, and also in line with Article 36, Clause 2D of the 1992 Constitution of Ghana. I don't want to take the wind out of the sail of Yvonne, who will do a more detailed presentation on REOI, but it's something that we are very excited about. We did research on education, especially the gap between urban schools and rural schools, and we found that the way to address some of the challenges is to get rural people to own education, which is why we call it the rural education ownership. If people own it, if people feel like they are part of it, they will then make sure that it is sustainable. So we have a number of models that we will be following to ensure that rural dwellers own education and are active participants of the education process for their children. And that is our flagship program. Why should you partner with us? Maybe you think you are just a media organization and we don't need to partner with you, but we really do need to partner with you. And here we are selling ourselves to you to let you know that we are independent, we are not affiliated to any political party, we are diligent, and we are results-oriented. All we seek to do is to contribute to the development of Ghana. We often hear people on radio or TV saying, the government should come to our aid, the government should come to our aid, but we are part of the government. And we think that if we also take certain steps, it will help to bring us all the development that we are looking for. So we are very results-oriented. We look to get results, and that is why you should partner with us. Integrity and timeliness are the anchors of our work ethic. It enables us to build trust and confidence in our work and take measured risks to help our success. I mentioned earlier about integrity. We don't want a situation where people will have any reason at all to question our integrity. And so everything that we do, we make sure that we do it in a manner that will build trust and confidence in us. We exist to have a real impact on Africa's quest to democratize and improve the conditions for the people of Africa. This drives our thinking and motivates what we do, how we do it, and how we measure our impacts. You can partner with us in several ways, but the key thing I want to talk about is that very soon we'll invite you again to our Democracy Forum. This is designed to promote civic responsibility, governance accountability, and inherent rights and freedoms to deepen the culture of democracy in Ghana. As the name suggests, it aims to grant citizens the opportunity to participate and contribute to enriching our democracy. And so we'll be inviting you to that program. As a media outlet, we hope that you will provide pre- and post-publication on the event and all other events that we will invite you to. We hope that you will grant us video coverage when the time is due. and also make available advert slots on your platforms for us so that we can get the program to get to as many people as possible. Thank you very much. This is the first presentation on CDS Africa. I'll just take a few minutes to talk about other research activities that we are engaged in. As I said, we do the research, and then based on our findings, we design an intervention. So for streetism, our intervention initiative is that we want to get children off the streets into schools. And so as much as possible, we are partnering with governmental and non-governmental agencies that work with street children to get them off the streets, to provide after-school care for children. We are even thinking of how to get the parents of children on the streets to also buy into the idea of keeping their children in school. We are seeking funding so that we can pay the school fees for children that are on the streets, so they don't have to be on the streets. And it's not just about school fees. It's also about giving them uniforms, their books, and everything they need, so they don't have to be on the streets. For the older ones that cannot go back to school, we are seeking to partner with organizations to put them into skills training. So this is where a group like Ghana Hairdressers Association or Ghana Dressmakers Association will partner with them so that they take some of the children we pull from the streets and give them some training, maybe for free or at a subsidized cost, and we'll sponsor that. We are looking for a place where we can have children who we have pulled from the streets and put into school to come in and have some kind of after-school help with reading or mathematics skills or homework and all of those. So these are things that we do the research, and then we put some thought into the kind of intervention or initiative that will make the program sustainable. We are also in the process of doing something with unemployment. We have just finished the proposal and the instruments for data collection. So once we collect data, we will use the findings from that to also design an intervention. And in due course, we'll invite you again to come and hear us on what we have come up with to help address streetism and unemployment for now. Thank you very much.
We went to the northern part of Ghana. We visited about 9 districts to see the challenges the rural schools are facing. Of course, in interventions like this, you need to know the severity on the ground before you can know how to go about it and do it. So I want to show some pictures we took when we went to the northern part of Ghana. So this first picture shows school children sitting hopelessly on the floor. Some look sad, some look happy. They really don't know what the future holds for them. This is the Karaga district, and there's an interesting story to this picture. So you see these mud houses there. When we got there, they were putting them up as bungalows for teachers because, so this is a drone shot, so it makes it look a bit smaller, but they are big. So they said where the teachers live and where the school is, there's a river separating them. So anytime the rains come, the teachers have to stay in their homes until the rains go, the river drains, before they can go to the classroom. So let's say if it's raining for a month, meaning the kids will not study until the rain stops. So then they said, why don't we put up something for the teachers so that whether it rains or shines, they can be in the classroom. So they started putting up this thing for them as teachers' bungalows. And obviously, I don't think most of us would want to live in something like this, but they had no option. So this is a school, a classroom, with half of the roof gone. So it means that when the rain comes, the kids in that class may have to go home, or they may have to force them to join another level to study. This one too is a classroom. I mean, look at the nature of this classroom. It can collapse at any time, but they have no choice than to use. This is a kitchen that their matron cooks and feeds the children for their lunch. So that's their matron in the kitchen trying to prepare something for the kids. And then we also saw some students learning under trees. As we all know, there are so many rural schools that don't even have a classroom. They have to sit under a tree and learn. And so we saw one in the Adabia Pusika district. And as we can see to our left, there's even a student who is breastfeeding her baby. But look at her age. She's quite young, but she has a child and she still has to go to school. So she came to school with her kid. These are also kids just sitting on the floor without tables and chairs. So yes, so I'm going to take you through the flagship program, how we go about it, everything that goes into it. So this outline is going to guide us. We are going to look at the rationale for the REOI, which is the Rural Education Ownership Initiative, the goal and objectives, funding sources, and many more. So as we are all aware, education is very important and a tool for national development in every country. So Ghana is part of it. But even though we've had successive governments putting up policies and interventions to help our rural education or education in general, we realize that most of the time or all the time, rural education end up losing a lot in terms of they are always at the losing end. We see urban schools, you know, developing, getting good education, but there's always an issue with rural schools. And so even though we have interventions like the Northern Scholarship Program, capitation grants, National School Feeding Program, and now the free SHS, we still see a big gap, inequality gap between urban and rural education. And so we at CDS Africa thought that we cannot just sit back, fold our arms and say that this is the work of the government alone. We all have to come together and help build the rural education. The government is trying by putting up interventions, but as we can all see, it's not really going well for us as we wish for it to be. So we decided that why don't we come in and help and see how far we can, you know, help this rural school. So despite the distribution outcomes, there's been an equal benefit of the rural schools as compared to the urban schools. Rural schools are always left out with everything in terms of infrastructure, even trained teachers, because I remember after I finished my school, I was posted to this village. I got there, saw just 2 structures as their classrooms, and I never went back. So, I mean, there are so many teachers who don't want to even go there. Everyone wants to enjoy the urban schools. So those who end up going there are not even trained teachers who can help our kids grow and become some people in future. We saw, I don't know if any of us saw some video where a teacher was teaching his class about a mouse and a laptop, and everything this guy was saying was wrong. But the students were happy and they were listening and all. The video went viral, people were laughing, but did we ever sit to think that this will go a long way to affect the student? Because what they were being taught was wrong. So the free compulsory universal basic education recorded dropout rate in basic school, even after 15 years, very high. And as of 2019, the JHS completion rate was 79%, implying that 21% of pupils dropped out between kindergarten and JSS 3. So it means that they go through the school, they reach somewhere, and they just drop out. Because as Professor Blanton said, he was walking like 5 miles to school every day. Some kids walk up to 10 miles to school every day. So at some point, they just give up and tell themselves that why don't I just do farming or just find money, come to Accra and find greener pastures. So they never even finish the school to think of entering SHS. And it's significantly worse in the rural areas because they recorded 62%, meaning the rural areas, they don't even school at all, and it's very bad. So as we all know, rural education is plagued with serious challenges like poor infrastructure, low attendance, lack of quality instructional facilities, materials, resources, and of course, as I said, pupils walking long distances to school, low performance, and then high dropout rates, underqualified trainee teachers. And teachers are also concentrated in the urban schools, as I mentioned, to the detriment of rural and the resort schools. And these are everything that goes against the rural schools. So at CDS, we did a desk study of the reports of NASIA, that's the National Schools Inspectorate Authority, and it revealed that 725 out of 1,000 sample schools were plagued with infrastructural deficits and needed attention, and most of these schools were in rural areas. This is actually no news because they don't have potable water, they had no access to library, ICT lab, no canteens, and no toilet facilities. As we saw in the pictures, the existence of schools under trees, in mud structures, and in wooden structures and open pavilions is troubling. So the study also revealed that 33% of the 725 schools sampled for the day study were in the northern part, and that's why we started with the northern part. It's followed by the Volta region and then Uti region. Even though, I mean, across the country, we have terrible rural education in most of the countries, these are the 3 countries that has recorded a high rate of. So at CDS, we've done our first base study in the northern part. We are now preparing to go to the other parts of the regions to see how bad the S2 is, and then we set plan and then start executing what we want to do. So as we can see, there's an urgent need for advocacy for deliberate government interventions to bridge the education outcome gap between rural and non-rural schools to ensure that all pupils can succeed academically. So now about the Rural Education Ownership Initiative. It's an advocacy initiative designed by us to promote infrastructure investments and learning outcomes for rural basic schools or pupils in line with the SDG Goal 4, which urges member countries to ensure inclusive and equitable education for all, and also the Article 36 Clause 2D, which mandates a balanced urban-rural development. So that's what we are using, is serving as a guide for this. And the initiative aims in partnership with rural communities, government agencies, local and international organizations to promote quality learning opportunities through direct community action and sustained advocacy to prioritize rural schools. And we are going to be guided by these 3 models, which are Education Awareness Promotion, Education Support Center, and Rural Education Infrastructure Advocacy. We'll talk about that more as I go on. So CDS Africa observed that Ghana's growth in education has created 2 worlds, which is the rural and non-rural schools, which we all know is glaring. So this has resulted in the increasing number of street children, street vending, as we all see. And as I mentioned earlier, when the student gets to a point, they see no need for the education. So they tell themselves, why don't we go to a big city to, find greener pastures? So we see these kids coming doing menial jobs like begging on the streets, head porting and everything just to make ends meet. And that also becomes another big problem for us as our Director of Research says, streetism, which is something that is in the pipeline for us. We'll be looking at that too. So our goals and objectives of the REOI is to advocate sustained infrastructure investment, tailored policy approaches, and community involvement to achieve better learning opportunities for rural peoples. So the objectives are directly linked to the 3 models I spoke about, and they include education awareness promotion, facilitate the establishment of an after-school learning and resource center to support pupils, teachers, and the community. Advocate policy adaptation, infrastructure, and associated with education improvement measures to ensure inclusive and equitable learning opportunities for rural schools. So the module 1, which is education awareness, is going to be in 2 dimensions, where we do a community sensitization and engagement through advert days and education events to create awareness. And this is very important because I don't think, in as much as we want to help a community, we can just go in there, we don't consult anyone and just start putting up structures for students. I mean, it's not right. So we need to go to the community, engage the community, sensitize them about what we want to do for them that is going to help them and their kids before we can start anything. And also we'll focus on engendering partnerships with ministries, departments, and agencies, MDAs, or district education authorities, local civil society, and international organizations to execute self-help initiatives. So we cannot do this alone. We also need these people to partner with us and help us achieve our aim. And even sometimes, some of these MDAs and district education authorities, they just need a small push from an NGO or a body for them to be able to achieve certain things that they want for their district. So I know that when we go to them, they will open their arms for us because we are bringing something good to them. So the second model, which is Education Support Center, is to facilitate the establishment of an after-school learning and resource center to support pupils, teachers, and the community, which I think is the most important because I've seen videos where after school kids are not even able to do their homework because their parents are not that literate to even help them, do whatever homework they want to do. So in setting up this facility, it will serve as a place where students can go there after school. We will have resource persons there in persons of maybe their teachers who are going to help them do their homeworks. We'll have a counselor who will counsel them, a place where they can organize trips for the kids, educational programs and everything. So that facility will be doing a lot for them. We can even put some books there where the kids can go during their leisure times and go and read. So the third one, which is rural education infrastructure advocacy, is just advocating for policy adaptation, infrastructure, and associated education improvement measures to ensure inclusive and equitable learning opportunities. It's the tool of the initiative, and its implementation will be driven by research and sustained policy advocacy and demand for government to deliver on commitment to the Sustainable Development Goals and Article 32, Clause 2D. Yes, so in as much as government have put in place certain measures to help these rural schools, it's imperative that we put some force or effort on them for them to make these interventions work, because some of them are there but they are not really doing the work that they are supposed to do, so that's what. And so the activities for the module 3 will include rural education fora. That's where we do several meetings, we exchange ideas, about how to go about helping the rural schools and everything, just to read a few. We also do training workshop for the teachers and education workers, because some of these teachers need a lot of training, and as I said, they sometimes even send under-trained teachers there. So when we do educational trainings for them, it will help them, grow our kids. So yes, we are also going to look at improved and enhanced conditions of service and incentives for rural education workers through advocacy, and other ones as coordinating stakeholder effort to undertake small infrastructure works and renovations and provide amenities like toilets and other facilities for them. So yes, we need funding too. As I said, we cannot do this alone, and I think this part too. We need the media to help us a lot to attract partnerships with international organizations, MDAs, and private enterprises, because we need that partnership to support us financially to be able to achieve our aim. So we'll be looking at fundraising activities, community resource mobilization. That is, any community that we help with their rural education, we are going to, engage them and find a way that they can also help. It might not even be in a form of funding, but there are other ways that they can help us achieve what we want to do. And so our indicators of success are to establish at least 10 ESCs in 2 years. That is the structures we are going to put up for the after school programs. So we are looking at having at least 10 in 2 years. I mean, if in 2 years we even have 5, 6, I think it's an achievement, because it's a very good thing. We are also looking at active community participation and buy-in. That's why we have to do the community engagement and sensitization before we can even start anything. We also want to achieve mainstream awareness of the poor state of rural schools, and that goes to Ghana as a whole and the government especially. Even though I'm sure Ministry of Education and other bodies are aware of how bad and poor our rural schools are, but we still need to hit on it for them to know that, we need to get up and do something about it. So we'll also be doing monitoring and evaluation, which will be in the form of annual review and evaluation reports compiled and shared with partners, including MDAs, media, and stakeholders. Of course, if we get partnerships and funding from different sources, they would want to know how their funds were used. So in doing so, we'll be giving them the annual review evaluation report to know how far their funding has been, what their funding have been used for. And we also do quarterly mini community debates, which will be held to review and ensure community involvement. So after everything, we need to keep doing this quarterly mini thing so that we know how far our intervention is going, what needs to be changed, what needs to be added, so that wherever we go, any other region we go again, we will not do the same mistake or anything like that. So in conclusion, it's important to note that the completion of the SDGs is just 8 years away. That is 2030. And so it means that the time is running out and we must act immediately. Thus, through this initiative, CDS Africa, we hope to extend the impact of the SDGs by ensuring that underdeserved rural schools in Ghana are given needed attention, and also generate significant momentum to stimulate substantial investment in rural education to redress the imbalance through advocacy. And so I would say that we really need the media on our side, because when we do these interventions and we don't have the media on our side, it doesn't really get anywhere. So we I would say we plead, but we ask the media to help us. I mean, we have a questionnaire in your folders, and there's a question where we want to know if you want to partner with us. If you want to partner with us, we'll give you a call back and we'll see how best you can partner with us in doing some of these interventions. And we believe that in doing so, it will take us a long way. CDS Africa will go far, we'll get more partnerships, and then achieve whatever aim we have. So thank you. I'll leave you here.
Problems that plagues rural education. I happen to have taught for about 2 years in a rural school, and then also happen to have voluntarily taught in schools in the Volta region. So I have first-hand information on what actually happens, and it's very heartbreaking. So I reiterate the fact again that it is incumbent upon us here to partner in order to advocate for the government to enforce its constitutional imperative, especially enforcement of Article 36 2D, enforcement of Article 38, which are all in line with directive principle of state policy. We need to put the governments on its feet for them to address the policy imbalances that we see in this country. Thank you. I kindly call on the board chair to now give us the closing remarks. Before the closing remarks, you further elucidate our expectations of the media and then why partner with us, and consequently give us the closing remarks. Thank you.
Now, just quickly to wrap up, because I know you guys are also very busy. There are a few things that I want to add to this. Remember, we said we are an advocacy group. What does that mean? We need to get into the ears and the minds of the decision makers out there, the politicians, the government, all right? And you are the media. You have their ears more than us, right? I would say that they are more afraid of you than us, because you have the power of the word and your pen and all of that. All right. So help us put these issues on the public agenda. Help us put CDS's agenda on the public agenda, because that is how we stimulate discussions in Ghana. All right. Because the more you write about it, the more you talk about it in the radio, the more you show things like that in TV, the more the politicians also become interested in. And so it's one of the things that we want you to help us with, the advocacy role. And I know media, I'm a media person, all right? And so our role in terms of putting things on the public agenda is very, very important, especially because of our socioeconomic development needs, which CDS Africa seeks to promote, all right? Secondly, we also, remember, we said we stimulate and initiate what? Growth. How do we do that? By, of course, we do direct interventions, but we also need you to partner with us. Earlier, somebody said, when we are going for these initiatives, we can tag along, bring one or two of you along to do that. So that's also one area. So we hope that when we call upon you, you wouldn't give us excuses, because definitely we'll be calling on some of you. All right, we need that partnership. That partnership is very, 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 very important. And then the bigger one to me is the promotion of democracy. In this part of our world, what does democracy mean? Because democracy and socioeconomic development cannot be separated. Politics and development cannot be separated. Unfortunately, we've separated that. And the media, you've contributed to that. We want to bring that back. All right? That marriage is very important. We can't disconnect it. That is why you saw the rural disparities, because we've neglected them. All right? So let's work together. Let's partner together in this endeavor that we've initiated. Obviously, you saw the need. You saw why this is important. And we hope that you will share with us in your views, as well as give us the platform, all right, so that we can do what we intend to do for Ghana and for Africa in general, all right? On that note, I don't know if anybody has anything final to say. I know some of you said you have to go and do your news. So we're going to wrap up quickly, all right? Anything else anybody wants to contribute? Doc, final statement. All right. So on that note, we want to thank you for coming. All right. Hopefully, we have your contact information. You also should be given, you should have a copy of our press kit. All right. A lot of our information is also on our website. We have social media. We are on all the social media outlets. You get information from us. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and God bless all of you.